I've just spent over 30 hours inside one of the most hyped MMOs of the year, Chrono Odyssey, and let me tell you, it's not what I expected. I got out with more questions than answers. I tried every single class, got 2 characters up to level 15, and completed everything the closed beta had to offer. So here is my brutally honest review and first impressions based on everything I have experienced. The early trailers, gameplay showcases, developer interviews and all the partnered creators with the early access painted a completely different picture than what the reality was. The goal was to build mega hype for the upcoming closed beta test, and they succeeded. But once players got their hands on the game, the hype was quickly shut down. In one of the interviews, the developers have said that they are expecting around 1 million players in closed beta.
How many people are you expecting to have in the closed beta test?
이번 클로즈 베타 참여자는 한 100만 정도로 생각하고 있습니다.
While Steam charts tell a different story, with only 65,000 peak concurrent players, which dropped to 40,000 literally a few hours after reaching that peak. I'm not sure where those 1 million players were supposed to come from when the game has 90,000 followers on Steam and sits at number 21 on most wishlisted games. After realizing that many people dropped the game, within a few hours they gave access to everyone who requested, as I had 3 Steam accounts receive access at literally exact same time. But that still didn't help break the initial peak, suggesting that all the hype surrounding the game was somewhat inflated and fake. The initial feedback was so bad that one developer had to address the state of the game on social media. They said the objective for closed beta tests was to validate core gameplay and server stress testing. And this is why the closed beta test version of the game was from 2024, when they were doing their focus group testing, which is the same version all the partner creators had early access to. In my opinion, instead of hyping up the game, they should have been honest and upfront by saying that the closed beta will be played on this old, unoptimized, unpolished build, with the goal being stress testing servers and core gameplay. They set a really high standard with the hype and completely killed it with delivering a shitty product. It's 2025, the players aren't stupid, and apparently, according to them, there already is a better improved version of the game. So why not showcase this improved version? It's like they purposefully wanted to give a shitty version of the game, so that the next closed beta they can be like, look guys, we fixed and improved everything you complained about. This plan indirectly gave a very bad image about the game, and I doubt whatever improved version we get to play next, it won't be as hyped. And yes, that is the point of closed beta testing, that's why I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because Chrono Liberty was also in the exact same situation with their first closed beta, and developers completely did a 180, revamped everything that was bad and significantly improved the game in the span of 6 months. Developers of Chrono Odyssey do feel genuinely passionate about the game, taking feedback and improving on it, while also being transparent and communicating with the players, which is very rare these days. I only feel like it was a complete miss on their part to give players their first taste of the game on this broken, old and unoptimized version, especially if they already had an improved version. But let's talk about the game now. Chrono Odyssey can be summed up as New World 2.0 on an Unreal Engine 5 that wants to be a Souls-like with MMORPG elements. A unique blend that I haven't seen anyone try yet, probably for a good reason. Despite this being first closed beta, filled with issues, there was something about this whole style and core concept of the gameplay that just doesn't sit right with me. Starting with the character creation. Yes, it is very detailed and you can create some very unique and cool looking characters. But you can also create absolute abominations. I'm not really sure how to feel about it. On one hand, no 2 characters will ever look exactly the same, but on the other hand, you have these abominations running around that you wouldn't even see in your nightmares. I think limiting the sliders to how extreme the changes on your body appear would be the best middle ground here, which will prevent people from creating abominations, but leave enough creative freedom for players wanting cool looking characters. I mean, painting your whole character skin in literally any color is a little bit too much. After creating your character, you get to watch some cutscenes. The cutscenes that I didn't think you can skip, because you know, it's my first playthrough, so I thought that these are the unskippable cutscenes as I tried pressing every key and nothing happened. But it is possible to skip them. You need to press left click and then hold escape to skip, which I figured out after watching every initial cutscene. The story isn't usually something I pay attention to or care enough about, but it didn't seem like anything we haven't seen already. Plus, it was very limited in closed beta, so I didn't even get to experience it much. Maybe it picks up later in the game, who knows. You then get thrown into this intro tutorial where you can freely smack these mobs as they spawn endlessly. So this serves as a great way to get a feeling for the class, as you have all 4 skills unlocked and slotted for both weapons. More MMORPGs should do this, so the players can at least get some feel for the class and decide if it's good or not before committing and realizing too late that the class is not for them. This way the players can exit and create new characters with a different class without wasting any time leveling. After completing the tutorial zone, you get thrown into the world. This is where the first problems have begun. At this part in any game, I always go into settings. I have a high-end PC, so the game set all the graphical settings to epic. Not only did it look absolutely terrible, the FPS was completely bad. I quickly tried to put everything on low just to see how much difference it would make, and the FPS remained exactly the same. Something wasn't right. I noticed that the FPS was locked on 62, which was weird as I didn't have vertical sync on or any external FPS locking options, and in game it was set on unrestricted. But that was the problem. For some reason, using unrestricted locks the game to 62 FPS. After putting it on 144, it unlocked from 62, but it didn't increase by much. The FPS was almost the same on low and epic, but the game looked better on epic, so I kept playing with it. I know that the devs have stated the optimization is the big priority, as they should, but I honestly haven't experienced this bad optimization in any alpha or beta test I ever did. Unreal Engine 5 is new, so I am worried how much they can actually improve it. I was very surprised that the game didn't have DLSS and frame generation options, which would help with the performance. But then I saw the dev tweeted this: the integration of DLSS is actively being considered as an option to enhance performance. Like seriously? It wasn't even planned and is still being considered as an option. If they decided to go without the DLSS and frame gen, they better have some seriously insane optimization and performance increases. Otherwise this is a GG before it even comes out. And don't even get me started on crashing. I have crashed at least 10 times in 2 days I was playing. And the worst part is that the Unreal Engine Crash Reporter cannot be shut down by clicking the send and restart button. No, I had to go to the task manager and kill the process to be able to close the reporter. Absolute jokes. The graphics on the other hand didn't impress me at all. Both epic and cinematic options didn't really improve the visual fidelity. The world is grey, unsaturated, bland and boring to look at. The trailers really did overhype the visual looks. For an Unreal Engine 5 game, this ain't it. I don't see how anyone would be able to look at this and say, yeah, this is it, these are the top-end realistic graphics. On the low, it looks like those old grey movies from the 50s. And the world isn't anything better, it's just dead and static. You have a bunch of these zones where most enemies are copy-pasted from other zones. Some do have cool looking aspects, but it is not a world where I felt immersed. It's just boring to run around in the world, but lightning would randomly change and flicker, shadows didn't really make any sense or completely disappear, and again, there is no color. Everything is grey and bland. The bread and butter of Chrono Odyssey is combat, or so they said. Everything in regards to combat, fluidity, responsiveness, movement, skills, mastery level is almost an exact copy of New World. I would put the overall feel for combat better than the New World, but worse than let's say Elden Ring. Although New World being a benchmark for quality isn't really a thing to be proud of. Chrono Odyssey has classes and within each class you have 3 weapons that you can combine in dual weapon setup. This was quite disappointing considering they said that the players will have a lot of freedom in making builds and creating unique weapon combinations. Something that Chrono Liberty does well, letting you combine any of the 2 weapons you like. Even in the New World you aren't limited. In Chrono you can't do that. You are forced to play only 3 weapons that are part of your selected class. You can't play dual blades with a bow, for example. And this is because the 3 weapons have been designed and optimized to work well with one another through passive skills, buffs and active abilities. And this part is also very limiting. You have to equip 2 weapons of your choice and just kill mobs to level up mastery, which grants you skill points. There aren't many options to build something unique, as you can only use 4 skills for each weapon and you have to manually press the swap button to use skills from your second weapon, something Chrono Liberty does seamlessly without the need to swap weapons. You do get passive buffs when swapping weapons, so it kinda makes sense. I started my first character as Berserker, but didn't make it out of the tutorial zone as it didn't feel right. The second attempt was Swordmaster, which I liked only due to dual blades. Greatsword was too slow, clunky, and I didn't like the animations, so I committed to Sword and Shield plus dual blades. And I kid you not, I got bored after 2 hours as the combat was not getting better, but I pushed to level 15 just so I can experience the game properly. And then I gave the last shot to the good old trusted bow. And after 30 minutes with bow I was ready to uninstall. But not before I gave the crossbow rapier a chance. This honestly was the best decision I made as it completely changed the vibe and I was actually having fun for the first time, and this was towards the end of my 30 hours playthrough. Everything about it just felt right. Fast enough but not too fast or too slow. Range with movement capabilities and melee option, while dealing a shitload of damage. The build heavily relies on high crit and crit damage, so it was incredibly fun to just one-shot mobs. Of course my mastery levels weren't that high to fully enjoy what any 2-weapon combos could do. Maybe Swordmaster would actually be fun eventually, but I always hold myself up to this. If the early combat isn't good and fun for you, it isn't going to become much better later. Assassin is still my choice of class, so if it sucks and it's not fun, I fear there might not be a class for me I would enjoy. Overall the combat is relatively slow, sluggish and clunky. While it does feel impactful, it's mainly due to the over-the-top effects, unnecessary camera shakes and sounds of hitting the target. The gearing process is another system that was completely copy-pasted from New World. But compared to the New World, it's very basic and simplified. You can drop gear from various content and you can craft it. Crafting gear is of course set up so you have to engage with life skills. Gear has equipment score and your average equipment score is what determines entry requirements into dungeons. There are multiple tiers and each tier so far requires character level to equip. So far exactly like New World. It's super easy to understand, you just rely on RNG, which stats and bonuses you will get. There is heavy, medium and light armor, each requiring different materials to craft. Life skills are also exact copy-paste from New World. You need tools for each life skill. There are different tiers of tools as well that give better stats and bonuses, and you simply go out in the world, farm, come back to town, refine the raw materials into processed ones and use it to craft gear. It's unfortunately very basic and very simple, from animation, sounds, effects and actual exploration. When someone is already mining or cutting the tree, you can join on the same node. You would think that there is some joint effort to cut down a tree or mine a node faster and then both of you get materials, but nope, there isn't. If someone is cutting the tree, if you join, your progress starts from 0, but when the player already cutting finishes before you, the tree disappears, your progress gets stopped and you get nothing. I don't know why is there even an option that multiple people can cut the same tree if someone is already cutting it. That doesn't make any sense. The worst part is that the same nodes and these red and blue trees always spawn in the exact same location. There is no randomness that would encourage exploration. I can already see that people will be camping some of these rare nodes and spam clicking them. So it's first come, first serve. Fishing is also very basic and boring. You click F5 to enter fishing mode, click to throw the bait, click to pull out the fish, and that's it. Life skills have zero substance, they're very basic, very boring, but you are forced to do it if you want to progress your character. I remember when I first tried New World in the open beta, the only thing that impressed me was life skills. I knew I didn't like the game and that I wouldn't play it, but I did spend the majority of open beta just life skilling. It felt good, it felt impactful, and somehow while copy-pasting this exact system into Chrono, they completely failed. Maybe it gets more complicated later, but I doubt it, as even in the beta, I was able to farm the highest tier materials needed to craft the highest tier gear. While I had enough materials to craft a few pieces, I wouldn't be able to use it due to level requirements. So yes, I actually doubt it gets better later. Leveling Chrono Odyssey is also the exact same copy-paste system as it is in New World. It's non-linear, you don't go from zone to zone doing the same quest, you're given quests, you have a story, and you decide when to do it. If you tried following the story, you would notice really fast that you are nowhere near strong or geared enough to kill any of the story bosses. First you had to farm, grind and get stronger to progress. This honestly isn't my cup of tea when it comes to leveling, and developers said that their intention was that this approach encourages exploration. Sure, it encourages exploration, but you know what else it encourages? Annoyance, frustration, and eventual uninstall. While the concept of non-linear leveling is completely fine, in Chrono Odyssey it completely fails. And it fails for several reasons. First of all, the quest tracker can only show 4 selected quests. And these side quests, they are as vague as they can possibly be. They send you to a location, in that location you are given an area where the enemy or an item or something else can be, and you are encouraged to look through the whole area. The quest description doesn't give any clues, the quest itself doesn't give any clues, so what happens in most cases is you run around like a headless chicken because A, you don't even know what you're looking for, B, you don't even know where you're looking for, and C, you eventually give up and go to another quest that is exactly the same as the previous one. The problem is that in most cases you have to kill a mob that spawns every 5 to 10 minutes. Not knowing how these mobs look like or where they spawn is the problem. For example, the infamous cat quest. You are supposed to find a cat in a town. Your only clue is that cat likes to be on the roof. You check every roof and the cat is nowhere to be found. But here is the kicker. This cat has 4 different spawn locations, and every player, yes, every player will have a different spawn location. But here's an even bigger kicker. Let's say you and 100 other players have a cat spawn on location A. Whoever finds the cat and grabs it first can complete the quest. And for other 99 players, the cat will not be there until it respawns in God knows how long. But if you are in a party, only one player can deliver the cat and everyone gets the quest completed. I honestly don't know who designed this quest, but that person needs to be fired. Because I fear there are many more quests like that. Or for example this quest where you have to search for Kaya traces. You are given the exact spot. Perfect. You go to the spot and there's nothing there. Nothing to interact with, nobody to talk to, no monster to kill. Absolutely shambolic experience. But all of this is okay, I guess, as most of your leveling will come from endlessly grinding mobs. Mobs do give quite a decent experience, and it also feeds into your weapon mastery level, so it's a win-win. It might give you that BDO feeling, minus the good combat. Overall, you will most of the time feel lost, you will get annoyed, you will get frustrated, and instead of being encouraged to explore and find solutions to these quests, like you are some sort of private detective, you will be encouraged to uninstall. There are several types of content we got to experience in closed beta, and I didn't like any of them. Bounty hunting is probably the easiest but very frustrating piece of content. You grab the bounty, you're given a general location where the target is, but then you get there and the target is nowhere to be found because someone killed it before you. But you don't know that. You don't know what you're looking for and where the target is spawning. So this easy bounty farming ends up being frustrating, as you waste more time looking around for the first time than killing the target. I can see this content become very repetitive and boring, as it adds almost no relevant progression and eventually everyone will know exactly where each target spawns. I'm not sure if this is on a weekly or a daily reset, but you could clear the entire list of 15 targets in 1 hour. Then we have these solo dungeons, labyrinths, whatever you wanna call them, which are these parkour type of dungeons where you need to cross to the other side by jumping on rocks, crawling under the lasers and figuring out where to go. It's very easy to do and the only real reward is the enhancement emblem that you get, which allows you to upgrade your chronotector skills. Honestly, I still haven't figured out a good way to use chronotector for anything other than summoning the giant monster to help you fight. Next, there are time portals which can be done solo or with a party. All you need is to have equipment requirements and you can enter solo. But you have to create a party. You cannot enter solo if you are not in the party. Inside you have to activate 4 of these pillars, kill surrounding mobs, then unseal the final boss, kill it, claim the chest and get out. You can keep farming these as long as you have the keys to enter, which can be dropped from mobs or bought at the merchants. Next we have time trials, for which you require keys that can be bought at the merchant next to the entrance. Inside you have to complete these puzzles, mysteries, parkour or whatever you want to call them. If you die, you lose the key and have to go out and try again. You need to complete all of them without failing and dying. I honestly struggled quite a bit here because I was under geared, but once I came here fully geared, it was a piece of cake. In the last room you get to fight the boss and you get the time trial tokens as the rewards you can use at the merchant, and you get some recipes for gear. World bosses are quite challenging when you are with few players, but once a lot of players show up, they die pretty fast for mediocre rewards. Same with dynamic events that are very easy to clear solo, except the one that starts every hour called Void Nexus Purification, where you need a lot of players, but also for the rewards that feel scammy. The boss is supposed to drop void matter, which is needed material to craft ancestral gear. But either in closed beta it was taken out of the loot pool, or the RNG is just super crazy high, not too difficult with a lot of people, and lasts very short. Lastly, we had one actual dungeon available that required 3 people to clear. At least in my case, as I couldn't even kill the first group of mobs solo, as a duo we couldn't kill the final boss, and finally with 3 people we were able to clear it very easily. It's a classic: fight a bunch of normal mobs, kill a mini boss, pull some levers, fight more mobs, and then fight the main boss. That wasn't that difficult. The rewards are decent, as you can get almost a full blue gear set from one run, but again very repetitive and not too difficult. The PvP content was non-existent for me despite being flagged for PvP and running around the open world trying to see if I can find someone to fight who is also flagged. But the reason why I couldn't find anyone was because PvP was turned off in every zone in closed beta, so flagging for PvP didn't do anything. The only way to PvP other players was dueling, which I honestly didn't even know was a thing. How silly of me to expect that a game with so many issues and problems would actually have a dueling system. Honestly, that's my bad. Now I want to talk about something that I absolutely hated and something that might be a deal breaker for me if the majority of the game doesn't improve. And that is the clunky movement, locked and zoomed in camera. I understand that for immersion purposes, some of you like this zoomed in camera as it represents the Souls-like combat. The thing is that this locked and zoomed in camera doesn't work in Chrono Odyssey. When you add clunky movement, skills that lock you in the animation where you cannot dodge roll, laggy and dysyncy animation, you have a recipe for disaster. If you played a melee class and you did the final boss in the one dungeon, you understand what I'm talking about. Just look at this clip and tell me what's wrong. First of all, who thought that these summons should be this fucking big? They are very helpful and viable in dealing damage, tanking damage, but they are also very good at obstructing the visibility to the point where you don't even see the boss. Even in this clip, as I'm playing a ranged class, I don't see where the boss is. Only when the crosshair changes I know that I'm aiming at the right spot. You literally cannot see shit. But okay, summons aside, in this clip I'm playing as a melee SNS dual blade class, fully built into tanking, threat generation, and most importantly parry. SNS has a parry that allows you to slightly stagger the boss, but you need to do a perfect parry. You see where I'm going with this. With a zoomed in camera, all I can see as a tank is the boss lower part. How the fuck am I supposed to perfect parry or even dodge roll when I can't see the upper part of the boss? I can't see what animation he's doing, I can't see who he's targeting, and as soon as he starts moving, all I can do is spam dodge roll and hope it doesn't hit me. And yes, I do know that using lock-in would improve that problem, but playing like that honestly feels even worse. Because as ranged, lock-in doesn't target head, so you are missing on extra headshot damage, and in melee, it's just janky as fuck. This Elden Ring style of camera, movement, combat and targeting doesn't work for Chrono Odyssey. Even a slight zoom out option would be enough to negate this. Then the camera lock. Have you noticed when you're walking over a rocky part of terrain how your camera stutters and makes it feel like you're playing on 10 FPS? Souls-like games have the same camera lock, but it doesn't stutter when moving over uneven terrain. Combine this with actual combat camera shake and you have an actual Parkinson's experience. And that double jump animation, horse double jump animation are just hilarious to me. The fact that you can double jump with a horse up the steep mountains shouldn't honestly be a thing. Just give us an option to turn off the camera shake, unlock the camera so it doesn't shake with the uneven terrain, and let me zoom out the camera just a little bit. It's not going to kill the immersion, don't worry. Overall, I think that Chrono Odyssey in its current state is an absolute disaster. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it's closed beta test. It's nowhere near ready for the release and it needs around 1 to 2 years of polishing, improving and revamping. The developers didn't try to create anything new or unique. They took New World, ported it into Unreal Engine 5, added Souls-like combat and movement, made it worse and directly killed any hype they generated for many players. The only thing that feels unique is the chronotactor mechanic, which I didn't find any really useful. It feels like it was designed to be a mobile game, but pivoted PC mid-development. For a game that is supposed to be 95% PvE focused, the PvE is very easy and very boring, so I fear the game will suffer the Throne of Liberty fate. I really hope they take feedback seriously, because there is something here, but right now it's buried really deep. If I didn't have fun with the crossbow rapier in the last hours of closed beta test, I would give it 0 out of 10, but instead I'll give it 2 out of 10. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing and watch some of my other videos appearing on your screen.